Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Suzerain. Let us continue on for last left off. So we've joined the CSP. That might have consequences. I'm almost pretty sure it will. So midnight, I was in the living room watching the tail end of the news report when I heard the phone ring. I sighed and walked toward the phone, wondering if it could be calling me at this late. I picked it up. Hello? Who is this? I heard a soft voice from the other end. Oh, did Peter kill... Oh no. Hello, Anton? This is Evelyn. Sorry for calling so late. Is something wrong? Yes? No. I don't know, actually. Alright, let's talk. The thing is, I was supposed to meet with Peter today to hand him the signed divorce papers, but he didn't come to our designated meeting spot. I figured he might have been too drunk to remember, so I went to the apartment he's been renting. But he wasn't there either. I asked around, the landlord, the neighbors, his friends. No one knows where he is. Trust me, Anton, I couldn't be more excited to get rid of this man, but I can't close out the chapter of my life without his cooperation. I'm sure he'll turn up. I don't know, Anton. He was in bad shape after your press conference. Can't you get your police contacts to look into this? Just be on the safe side? Alright, if it'll give you peace of mind, I will. Thanks, Anton. That'd be great. Did I know he was cheating? Did I know? I don't think I knew. I don't have any idea of cheating on you before this, by the way. You know I would have come to you if I knew about it. I'm sure you would have. Voice sounded tired. Get some sleep, Evelyn. Goodbye. As I put down the phone dial, Monica sleepily approached with a glass of water in her hand. Who was that? Is everything alright? It was Evelyn. She said Peter went missing. Missing? Drowning of sorrows, I wager? I'm surprised she cares this much about him. She was a good influence on him. For a while. She made her way upstairs. Call Carl to ask about Peter. I picked up the phone and dialed Carl's number. The phone rang for only a few seconds. Yes, Mr. President? I need you to find someone. As you wish. I heard a faint rustling of notepad being opened. Who do you want to be found, sir? Peter Vekren, the ex-vice president. As a command, I will report my findings shortly. Thank you for your help, as always. Have a good night. He hung up. I put away the phone and went down to the bedroom to get some sleep. As I was eating breakfast next morning, the phone rang. I picked up. It was Carl. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Carl. I have some unfortunate news regarding Mr. Vekren. His wedding ring, a half-empty bottle of pills, and a handwritten note were found on the bridge overlooking Ujar River. We summarized that he took his own life. What did the note say? He wished it to be read by Evelyn alone, sir. Would you like to break the news to Miss Vekren, or should I? I'll tell Evelyn. Thanks again for your help. Of course, sir. Carl hung up with a heavy heart. I started thinking about what I would say to Evelyn. Oh, former Vice President suicide confirmed. Yeah, no, that's not good. I'm gonna say that's not a good one. To say that he died on. Yeah, no. Just a regular funeral, not a state funeral. Just propose a regular funeral for him. Funeral. I'm guessing I called her at some point. Our convoy pulled up to the gates of the public ceremony of Elroy, Peter's hometown. Monica and Dina were beside me in the car. The news of Peter's death had hit Frank especially hard. Rather than attend the funeral, he had taken a few days out from school to have time to himself. Monica looked numb. Dina appeared to be deep in thought. But how did Peter die? Won't anybody tell me? Monica looked like she was about to cry. It doesn't matter, sweetheart. She turned her head to look at the window, hiding her tears. I reached over and gave Monica a hug. She hugged me back tightly. Papa, tell me the truth. You will understand when you're older. That's not fair. I'm almost 12. The driver's window rolled down. We have arrived, Mr. President. My deepest condolences. I know you and Mr. Vekren were very close. Thank you, Sergei. Sergei went off and opened the door. As soon as we stepped out, camera flashes went off. Evelyn Vekren was waiting for us. Upon seeing her, Monica ran up to her and they hugged. Evelyn, I'm so sorry. How are you holding up? So. It's hard to play the bereaved widow, knowing the kind of man he really was. But still, we were married for almost 20 years, Monica. And the way he died, it's just too sudden. They hugged once again. Evelyn wiped her tears and patted Dina on the head before turning to me. I hugged her. She took my hand to hers as she pulled back. I know there's nothing either of us can have done, but I still can't help but feeling a little responsible for this. I know what you mean. Evelyn swallowed hard, her eyes filled with resolve. Alright, let's go. The four of us, Evelyn, Monica, Dean, and I, took our place in the front of Vekren family plot. The crowd was sparse. Peter hadn't had many friends left by the end. His father and brothers lifted the coffin on their shoulders and brought it to the grave. The priest had completed the ceremony. It was time for me to make a speech. Today we mourn Peter Vekren, the fourth vice president of Sordland, and my brother. Our bond was not a bond of blood. It was something stronger. It was a blood of friendship and camaraderie. We drank together, cried together, laughed together, fought together. We must all remember him not at his worst, but for the good deeds he has done. The path he paves will go down in history. Morning shall come. Everyone in the crowd yelled, "Victory is close." Amid the applause, went back to join Monica and Dina. As I walked past Evelyn, she mouthed the words, "Thank you." The priest's voice cut through the silence. Everyone joined in prayer in the prayer he was chanting. Looking at the coffin, I shuddered. The coffin started to be lowered into the grave. I'd known Peter for almost 30 years. The time we'd spent together flashed back before my eyes. The good memories and the bad ones, all of it. It didn't matter anymore. He was gone. I felt a tug on my left arm. "Are you crying?" Surprised, I checked my face. My eyes were wet. You could do like a Full Metal Alchemist reference? Yes. She hugged my leg. "Come on, Dina, let's go." The coffin was fully lowered and a tombstone placed. The crowd began dispersing. I'm not leaving a bottle of whiskey on his grave. Come on now. Come on now. The sun finally set after the painting the sky blood red. Vice President's private funeral held. Okay, so what is next on the agenda? A late night at the Rayne household. After weeks of late nights, Monica, Sierra, and the Women's Rights Commission had succeeded in getting her bill through the assembly. It was as comprehensive as they could have hoped for, and I was looking forward to celebrating with my wife. It had been hours since I'd gotten home, and she still wasn't there. After I was dozing on the couch after yet another frozen TV dinner, when I heard Look, I've been playing this game for I think like 5 hours now or something like that. Probably not 5, maybe like 3 hours, but still. It's a lot of talking. I was dozing on the couch after yet another frozen TV dinner when I heard the key in the lock. Monica stumbled into the hall. "Honey, I'm home!" I kissed her. Her breath smelled like gin. I was having a few drinks with Sierra. "I can't believe we did it, Anton. It's such amazing news," she hiccuped. "You could have invited me to the celebrations." "Oh, you would have found it boring, and somebody had to look after Dina." My God, I'm sorry to see what I put you through all those years. Get used to it, baby. Seriously, Anton. This is what I want to do. I've never felt so alive. I pulled her in for a hug, and she wrapped her arms around me tightly. Now, we all have to do is make sure you stay in office. And that's where the real politics begin. We stayed curled up on the couch, talking about my re-election strategy and the next steps with the women's rights bills, until Monica took my hand and wordlessly led me upstairs to the bedroom. Oh no, it's getting a little bit spicy in here. Put it that way. Horizon operation signaled. So it looks like there's about to be, like, conflict, to say the least. Signed, the Citizens Mobility Act of 1957. The Grand National Assembly aims to increase job opportunities, lift the economic burden on low-income bracket, and boost inter-regional activity. Section 1 of the CMA of 57 will subsidize all forms of public transportation inside Sordland, except for commercial planes, by using state funds. This act will enable all citizens to use public transport, giving services such as buses, trams, trains, and ferries completely for free. Well, I have three government budgets, so you know what? We'll sign that plan. Making money. Sordland creates peace line in to avert war. Free public transportation. Workers' party leader poisoned. That seems bad. That seems really bad. Kerbin condemns President Rayne. Because we unbanned the BFF. Sordland's largest military parade ever. And Rand unbans controversial... Okay. Public Transportation Access to all. Nationals attempt to assassinate Agile. And a WPP record membership number. So, election speech at USP HQ. I think that's really the only thing we can do right now. So let's have an election speech. The sun was setting to peek through blinds of my suite in the Grand Chariot Hotel in Eureka. I hadn't slept at all that night. I was too busy thinking about how I would rally my party's conservative base in today's election kickoff. Wait, is today the election? I was just pulling on my clothes when two soft, sharp knocks came at the door. Lucien. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Lucien. Lucien sat down in the suite's office chair and pulled a piece of paper from his jacket pocket. I just thought I'd drop this off some talking points for your speech today. Don't worry, I won't say anything stupid. Never said you would. Are you ready to hit the campaign trail yet? I am ready if you are, Mr. President. I will see you at the rally. I almost forgot. The Archbishop of Deer couldn't be present today, but I wanted to relay a message of support to you and your family. What did he say? I bless the rains down in Eureka. God damn it. Lucy left the room. I finished putting on my tie and reread the notes from my morning speech. A few hours later, I was waiting. Well, let me just think. Yeah, I think that was going to go on a little bit longer than normal, but that's okay. A few hours later, I was waiting in the wings of the Nordstrom Auditorium in Eureka, and the audiences were several thousand of my conservative supporters. Behind me, the podium hung a Swedish flag and a giant banner that read, "Victory is close." Everyone cheered as I walked on stage. Though Mayor Curtin Less was now part of the opposition as a member of the NFP, it seemed most of Enrico was still on my side. Lucien gave a short speech introducing me, then it was my turn. I stepped up to the podium and took a deep breath. Yeah, okay. Brothers and sisters of the USP. Look, we have full economic bar. We're so good. The past 3.5 years have seen our country tested over and over again. Yet Sordland has prevailed. Under my administration, we are stronger than ever. Together, we managed to get economic crisis under control. Under my presidency, we have enjoyed unprecedented harmony. I will continue to defend Sordland against threats, whether internal or external. And I will continue to root out corruption and wrongdoing even within the institutions we hold dear. Thunderous applause erupted. Sordland has changed, but the USP remains strong as ever. That's foreboding. Don't answer that one. I have dedicated an unprecedented amount of time and effort towards making Sordland's economy the best in the world. We will not lose. I and Vice President Glade will lead Sordland to a bright future. The roar shook the hall. It is time, my fellow swords. A new dawn is upon us, and it begins right here and right now. As Morga West Core, the audience enthusiastic finished saying as streamers shot out of the cans behind me. My re-election campaign had officially begun. I stepped down from the podium. I mean, that seems pretty good. Red Youth attack religious group. Red Youth drive CSP and WBP recruitment. God, there's so many like notifications everywhere. What's new? Welfare. Look at, like, everything is green except for there's some corruption, but don't worry about that. Ignore the corruption. We got a briefing the current economic situation. Look at that! It's pure gold, baby! Unless it crashes, which I'll be very sad. I ran to the Ministry of the Economy and proceeded upstairs. My assistant waiting by the door in the meeting in the room took my jacket. I opened the door and entered the largest boardroom in the building. Simon was sitting alone with a glass of water and his documents laid out before him. Good afternoon, Mr. President. How's it going? I'm pretty swamped with work, barely getting any time with my family. He stood up and as I entered and approached me. After a quick handshake, he took a seat. The knock was heard at the door and Lucien entered the room. Apologies, like I held up. Did you start yet? Mr. Vice President, no, not yet. Now that everybody's here, let's begin. As you all know, the agenda today is the economy review for an entire term. I will brief you quickly on what's been done so far, just as a refresher. Okay? He got our documents on a pile in front of him and adjusted his glasses. From a pile, he produced 2 booklets and handed them over to us. Our extra focus on the economy has resulted in a small-scale positive growth. The extra resource allowed by my ministry is to optimize our plans as much as possible. It would be great as we followed up on this focus in the next term. Let's delve into the more grain economy details now. Please turn to page 5. Let's start off with our economy plan. I'm glad to say that we're on track with our initial plan to go for a planned economy. Most of our decisions so far have been pretty consistent. Thank you for your effort, Simon. Indeed, well done. Thank you. You were too kind. Let's move on with the report. If I were to describe what we've done so far, I would say that it was very close to a full command economy system. Please turn to page 16. I turned to page 16, titled Status of Trade and Effects of Foreign Policy. I'm happy to say that our trade has increased since the beginning of our term. We're on the right path. We should keep at it and maximize potential. More trade means more vibrant economy, which will increase our potential output. Although an argument can be made, we have started to become heavily reliant on other foreign economies. It doesn't sound like a good rhetoric for the upcoming election. We have to spin that around. That's what you excel at, Mr. Glade. As you proved many times before, I'm sure you'll have no problem spinning this one around. We need to try to aim for a more balanced approach. We will have to be carefully consider this matter in our second term. Please turn to page 17. While trying to fix the issues of our economic system, we went to a mixed approach. We didn't hold businesses above else, and we tried to answer the requests of sorted citizens. The balance is delicate and fragile. Bad news is, living standards are decreasing. We receive more and more complaints about our welfare systems, which means less votes. What do you mean? I've given you so much shit! I got the achievement for doing the welfare Look, I don't think you can see this, because you can't. But one of the achievements I have is literally welfare states. Which to me seems like we have a decent welfare state. Apparently I don't know shit. We have lost value in terms of our production rates compared to last year's. This is one of our weakness points right now. We need to fix this as soon as possible. I need everyone on this next term. As you wish, sir. I will take note. Moving on to logistics. We have problems in terms of logistics in our country. The infrastructure is currently lacking quality. Then what is the point of having a 5-bar economic... Like, if this is full, how does that mean that it's not good enough? Come on now. Ease of access means faster delivery, more vibrant internal economy after all. We're real close to the end. I want you to talk a few numbers. Please turn to page 57. Our inflation rate is currently an amazing 2%, down from 7%, lowest that I've ever seen in Sordland since the beginning of our country. Sordland's rent value has been largely maintained, and the super prices have been stabilized, which means that Sordland citizens are happier. There's nothing more important than the well-being of our citizens. Agreed. Mr. President, do you have any questions so far? What is our debt situation? Our debt is 360 billion SR, down from 427 billion SR at the beginning of our term. We managed to bring it down quite a lot. As a result, the international investment has increased alongside our global budget. How are you doing in unemployment? Lastly, the unemployment rate is 5%, down from 16%. The change is mostly due to investments and economic planning. What are the latest numbers of our GDP? The current number is at 513 billion, a major increase from 310 billion we were at the beginning of our term. As per the latest stats, our economy grew 16% in the last 4 years on average. We enjoy an increased economic capacity. I want to quickly highlight our budget expenditure. The number I got to tell that overall we've been pretty conservative with our spending. Really, I've been in the negatives the entire game. It's good virtue to think ahead, however. We shouldn't forget that money that is not spent is just a piece of paper. Now, going into the election, hopefully a second term, we need to decide on the way forward. One thing is clear, currently we have a solid economy, and more than enough flexibility for something grand. This will ensure a dramatic increase of public opinion and the approval rates for administration. It is sure to be helpful for the election. What should we do about this? Housing assistance? Or I'll provide housing assistance to citizens. That's an excellent idea. Very well, consider it done. Now it's out of the way. On the most important question of all, how are we looking in a recession? I see a few smiles in the room. I think we earned it. We have almost eradicated the recession in its entirety. We are now in a period that I would call the Swordfish recovery period. This warrants a celebration for sure. It sounds like I like the sound of it, the Swordfish recovery period. We have done well. History will remember the Rayne administration as the administration that ended the recession. Congratulations, everyone. This was only a dream a few years ago, and we've achieved it. We'll go out for drinks tonight, but for now, This is all for the meeting today. Thank you for coming. The meeting ended and I walked as fast as the cafeteria to grab a coffee. Whatever. Let's say we got probably another 13 minutes into this video, so yeah, it's definitely going to be a little bit longer than normal. We're now at -1 again, but, you know, that's not so bad. Homelessness. Rate's been reduced. Something else is supposed to happen here, but I'm not too sure what it would be. A scheduled television... Like, is there a possibility this can just be the last episode? The makeup crew had finished their preparations for the interview. Lucian stopped me on my way out to the balcony of the Blue Mansion, where the film crew was standing ready for filming. Are you ready for the interview, sir? Yes. Good. I've done the best to make this happen. It's very important for administration. The crew is ready to start filming. Mr. Sacker is excited to interview you. As I explained before, it would be a bad press to decline this interview offer. They are the most prestigious interviewing program in the world. And I think they are from Fruit, the country that is known for neutrality. I don't think there will be too much pressure. It's fine. I can handle it. I walked to the balcony and sat in the seat prepared for me, directly in front of Mr. Sacker. Mr. President, welcome to One-on-One. Thank you so much for the opportunity for us to talk to you. Let's begin with the latest incident between Sordland and Rumburg. An aircraft of the Swedish Air Force was shot down by Rumburgian anti-air guns a few weeks ago. Officials from Rumburgian government proclaimed the aircraft was flying inside the airspace of Rumburg. Your government has been silent apart from a few statements, which claim that your plane was indeed in Swedish airspace when it was shot down. Do you believe Rumburg forces initiated an initial attack? We have reason to believe that yes. They are being increasingly aggressive over the past few years. Does this mean there will be more hostilities on the horizon? I hope not. We're willing to do what it takes. That's up to Rumburg to decide that now. Do you believe that harassment could lead to an actual war between Sordland and Rumburg in the future? I believe that's what Rumburg wants. They've been working to get justification for such an action. This week, the United Katana government has condemned Rumburg for its action against Sordland. Now that Sordland is a member of the CSP, do you think this would deter Rumburg from creating a broader conflict? Yes, it will surely deter them from creating a war, but they will likely continue their harassment in other ways. Before we move on further, I want to ask you about another topic. Not so long ago, you claimed that a spy was discovered within your administration, and the alleged spy was not other than your own secretary. The scandal caused by the result that Mr. Vekren leaving his office. He was blamed, and you appointed a new vice president. Many claim that this was an internal political move designed to eliminate the vice president. That's completely baseless. I recently lost Mr. Vekren. I don't appreciate you asking me such a question. He was a friend of mine. I know you're very close, Mr. Rayne. My condolences, but I didn't answer my question. Why would I oust my largest supporter, close friend, and backbone of my administration? Well, I'm asking you the question here. That's an answer. Even though it's a question in and of itself, I think it's still an answer. You don't look like he was satisfied with my response. He stopped for a moment and looked briefly at his papers. Okay, let's return to your foreign policy. Let's talk about the ongoing conflict about the Helgeland Island. I believe Sordland is committed to stand together with Vaxland. In fact, you have a military alliance with them. According to reports from yesterday, Vaxland Navy had finally attacked the Aglawan fleet at Helgeland Island. Today, Prime Minister Van Horten announced that the island is indeed under invasion. He said Vaxland troops landed on the island. We received several reports claiming that they were Swedish ships and planes aiding the Vaxland Navy. What is Sordland's role in the conflict? Will you finally admit that you are helping the invading force? As far as I know, they're not. Sordland, the Swedish Air Force, and the Swedish Navy have no role in the conflict. Those reports are not reflecting the truth. Mr. President, I have a report from the Alliance of Nations here. As far as I know, he pulled up a grainy photograph of a ship and showed it to me. Here. The Swedish flag on the ship is clearly visible. Then he shuffled the papers in front of him, placed the paper on the top, and started reading it. Yesterday morning, the Swedish fleet was spotted in the vicinity of Helgeland, and reconnaissance planes were observing flying above the island. This clearly shows that your forces were interfering. How do you explain this? This doesn't show them taking any action, though, does it? This is the AN's report, Mr. President. There's no denying it any longer. The report clearly states that Swedish ships were blockading the route from Stalport to Hajiland right before the Vogtland attack occurred. And the photograph I just showed you is directly from the report. Are you saying that the AN is lying? No, that's not what I meant. Okay, so what did you mean? I'm not saying there's no reason to believe. I'm just saying I know that there's no reason to believe a foreign report. I know what my forces are doing. The AN is not an external spectator. It's only an external spectator. You're still insisting that in your stance. You're denying it. Then I believe I gave you an answer already. I see. This is a very huge accusation from your side, Mr. President. Please continue on with other questions. He let us sigh. Fine, let's move on. Last year, a huge conflict took place on your borders with Wayland. With the Wazak forces partook in a massacre of British civilians under the guise of eliminating the British Freedom Front. Sordland decided to watch as atrocities take place. In fact, you not only closed the border to the refugees fleeing the massacre, your border guards worked in cooperation with the Wazak forces. Do you accept responsibility for thousands of lives that were lost in Wayland? It breaks my heart to see so many people die in Wayland. Could he have done something? Definitely, but the conflict had nothing to do with us. Many have criticized Sordland for its roles in the conflict. Do you not accept the criticisms? Sure, we could have helped the refugees, but then again, how do we distinguish civilians from militants? You could have, on the Jesuit directory, stop before finishing the sentence. Well, it seems like we're all out of time for today. I feel like the interview went horribly. The director shouted at the crew to stop recording. We both stood up and shook hands. Thank you for your valuable time, Mr. President. It was a pleasure. Hopefully next time we'll meet again in Kroot. He smiled. Of course, Mr. President. You'll always be welcome in Kroot. Lucy walked out to the director and so I talked to him. I went inside the building. I feel like that went horrible. But there's 10 newspapers. Oh, God. Okay, what's next? Worker Party announced Aliki as replacement for jail. New force of politics, the People's Front. So the CSP and the WPP has come together as a single faction. Rayne enacts housing assistance. They form the People's Front. Living standards suffer. Socialist housing in Sordland. Great source of economic recovery. And Vogtland occupies Hajiland. Has that changed the map? No, I was kind of interested. It just like turned purple. Okay, so I got maybe like one more dialogue option. If I can find where... There it is. It's all the way up here. A private meeting with Lilith Graf. The historic Graf's Manor lay in the outskirts of Avery. At the end of the long winding drive, nearly 2 centuries old, it was as formidable as Lucian himself. Lilius has invited me over for a private dinner, just the two of us. I wasn't sure of her motivations, but I was happy to have an excuse to escape the chaos back in Hostlord. Sergei dropped me off at the door. I used a heavy brass door knocker to signal my arrival. The butler answered and showed me into the parlor. Gas lanterns lent the wood-paneled room to a cozy orange glow. Lilith was sitting on the sofa. Above her hung a nearly life-size portrait of the swallow. Unhappy-looking young woman in a lace ball gown. Is that your grandmother? My mom, actually. I was her only child, you know. Giving birth to me left her medically unable to conceive. My father could never forgive her for not bearing him a son, and she never forgave me. She took a measured sip out of one of the glasses of sparkling wine she was holding and handed me the other. Sounds like a painful childhood. The silver lining is that despite personally despising me, they felt compelled to grant me all the advantages a son would have had, including the education I need to rise my current position. Would you be so kind to tell me why you invited me over? Given how your wife spends her time these days, I thought you might need a need of a home-cooked supper. The butler silently stepped into a parlor and rang the silver bell. Ah, speaking of which. So he led me to the dining room where the glittering chandelier hung from the high ceiling. Beneath it was a long table set for two. A woman in an apron and a chef's hat, Wezek by her appearance, ceremoniously presented a roast rack and venison. Smells delicious. Groundskeeper shot it this morning. Lilith, for some reason I thought, like, shot it was in, like, the deer that they cooked. For some reason I thought the groundskeeper just shot the steak. Lilith bowed her head and said a quick prayer, then motioned for me to dig in. It was the best meat I've ever had. I ate in silence for a while, then Lilith passively laid down her cutlery. Anton, I want you to know that I have nothing but respect for you. But given a certain developments that have occurred over the course of your term, I believe you're no longer fit to lead the United Sordland Party. Lilith took a deep breath. I wanted to let you know. I wanted you to be the first to know that I'm myself will be running against you for Party Congress. What the hell do you mean unfit? Don't play dumb with me. Do you think I would sit by as you made a mockery of our country's constitution? The very constitution that's keeping his nation safe from internal and external threats? You're a disgrace to the good name of Sarkin Toll. Did you poison my food? Let's reach over to my plate, took a fork full of meat and ate it while looking me in the eye. I don't need those kind of tricks to beat you. I'm doing you the courtesy tonight. I don't want to surprise you at the Congress, and I want to give you time to consider backing me. You're mad. That's what they said about you when you first went up against Alfonso. I'll tender my official resignation once we're both back in Hostward. I rose from my chair. It was a shame to lose you. Likewise. I had the butler show you out. She stayed seated as her butler gently led me outside. As Sergei and I drove away, I looked at the rearview mirror and saw her silhouette in the doorway. So I was being challenged from within my own party. At least Lilith wouldn't pose much of a threat. Or so I hoped. Well, I think this is going to be a good time for us to end this episode. So thanks everybody for watching. My name is Anthnwam. If you enjoyed, remember thumbs up. Not enjoy, click thumbs down. You want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.